Hey everyone, Star Wars Gazer here, coming at you with another video. This time, it's another interview with a guest I was able to interview back in 2025 at Rebel Scum Con Part 2. Today's guest is someone we all know and love very much, Mr. Matthew Wood, aka the voice of General Grievous, as well as battle droids and other things in the Star Wars prequels. I'm so excited to bring you guys these interviews. I've been taking much joy in rewatching these as I've been going through them, and I hope you will get the same amount of enjoyment out of them as I have going back through them once again. Guys, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so I would very much appreciate if you would like, comment, share this video with other folks you know would love to see this, and please subscribe. Without further ado, I present to you the voice of General Grievous, aka Matthew Wood. Hey everyone, this is Star Wars Gazer. I am joined by the legendary Matthew Wood. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Just got a few questions for you.
Sure.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
First, what got you into Star Wars?
Oh gosh, what got me into Star Wars? I mean, as a fan, I was everywhere. As a kid, I was 5 years old when the original movies came out, New Hope, and saw it in a drive-in movie theater with my parents, and it changed my whole perspective on what a movie could be. And it's where I learned about what a director was. I learned about, George Lucas made these things, and it's not just actors, it's actually people creating. And it just so happened that the production company for Lucasfilm was in Northern California.
Okay.
And that's where I was living. And I was able to sort of find out later in life where exactly Skywalker Ranch was because my uncle had done some work there. And I put in a resume and got a job as a video games tester when I was 17 years old. So
that is so cool.
It was an early introduction, and I'm a huge fan of the movies. And I even think, like, when I was 16, I was still doing things like there was a local movie theater in the area that was opening new, and the first thing they did is play all 6 Star Wars movies as a thing to kind of get local interest to come to the theater. And I did that probably less than a year from when I was working in the company. So I've been a fan my whole life. I still am, and that's, Star Wars is a huge phenomenon that's bigger than any one of us, and I love being part of it.
That's so cool. I was talking to one of my friends about how, like, there's a lot of memories when we're 5, 6 younger that we don't remember, except for the first time we saw Star Wars, right?
True,
it's like so wild how that sticks with us so well.
It felt like a real lived-in universe.
Yeah.
It was science fiction, yet everything looked old, and like it had a legacy to it, and even it says in a galaxy, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, which you kind of understand now, and the myth of all that. And yeah, it was a huge focal point. I'm Gen X, and it was a huge focal point for my life as far as narrative fiction and the movie theater and good versus evil and all these things.
Yeah, I love that. So what was it like then? Obviously, you said you've been a fan your whole life. You get to be a video game tester, and all of a sudden, like, who comes up to you to start doing what you were doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what was that experience like, being able to meet George and all this other stuff, like full circle?
It would happen pretty quickly. I was in the games division, and I had come up with a way to sort of make it so because it was the downstairs of our games division was where all the testers were, and we called it the test pit. And I was one of those. And it was a bunch of, like, questionably hygienic teenagers playing video games all day. And I'm sure there was quite a funk that came out of that test pit. But we were hammering on these games all day, and I came up with a way to sort of network, send our bug reports to the programmers without them having to come downstairs and talk to us. And they were very grateful of, like, being able to be separate. And I remember that kind of got my my cachet as being a tester high. And so when George Lucas was developing a nonlinear editing system for film called SoundDroid, he already had EditDroid that he was making. He wanted to make SoundDroid. He made the suggestion, like, well, who in our company could come in and kind of hammer on our program and see if they can try to break it. We want a young mind to come in here and try to do that. And then he went to the games division and says, give me your best tester. And my boss at the time, Kirk, and Judith, they were like, you're the one, like, you want to go to the ranch and take an interview? And of course I did, and I went and did that, and I got involved. I got hired to be part of the development team to test SoundDroid, and then that was used on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles TV show, which George was show running at the time, as a proving ground to see that we could make prequel movies. He really wanted to get back into Star Wars again and make sure the technology was somewhere where he felt comfortable that he could express the story or tell the story he wanted to tell and have technology support that. And there wasn't a lot going on external to the company that he felt was doing that, so he wanted to develop it internally. So that's when I met him, and that's when I was still a kid, and I was very much having a lot of imposter syndrome being at the ranch at that point. But once we started making projects with it, like Young Indie, and then that graduated into doing there was a Star Wars. We re-released in the theater again in the 90s, and then we did we did Radioland Murders, and then we kind of got ourselves ready to do the prequel movies, and that's how that started. And that's when my relationship with both George Lucas and Ben Burtt, my sound mentor, kind of took off. And,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So with like the B1 battle droids and stuff, is that something that like you created, or did you get a drawing and like, okay, you need to create a sound for this, or how'd that all come about?
It's such a collaborative process at Skywalker. Ben Burtt, who was doing sound, was also involved in the pre-visualization animatics of the movie of Episode 1, also the picture editing, music editing, and he was very much multi-talented, came out of USC, highly trained film person that did directing and all that. So he was mentoring me, so I got to learn a lot of different disciplines of filmmaking. Cool. And they kind of had an idea what the droids were going to look like, and then Ben himself would like put on the early mocap kind of thing, a bunch of ping pong balls on him, and then he would do all these moves for the battle droids getting like shot or falling down or whatever it was.
Okay.
And just to get these animations that we could use to cut together the animatic sequences. And sort of the look and the gait of how the battle droid moved was kind of early Ben.
That's cool.
In fact, even one of the ping pong balls was kind of not aligned properly on his back, and so he had his little butt stuck out in a funny way, similar to how they look now.
Yeah.
And then just out of necessity, he did a lot of those. The vocalizations were his own vocals, and then coincidentally, Ben and I's communication style and our vocal timbre are very in the same range, and so all those little like look out, Roger, Roger, oh no, and all that we did it. So we would do battle droids together in the prequels, and then I sort of took it over after that once we got into the Clone Wars and animation. So very collaborative, and you're just kind of out of necessity. And we both had an acting background as well, so there was something that we could do. It wasn't just coming out of nowhere.
Right.
So,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What was the process like for General Grievous?
That was another one where we had auditioned a whole bunch of people for this particular role, and George, I could hear him saying particular things about various things he wanted for the role, and we went through a lot of iterations of different types of actors, and then my colleague at the time, Chris, was saying, why don't you put in an audition yourself, because you've heard it all. And I had just completed this acting program at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, so I had some confidence as far as something I could try to do with my voice. And I did it, and I put it under a different name because I didn't want George to know it was me. And then he, out of the last group that we submitted, he picked mine. And so
cool.
Being George, and it was just him, we're independently making this film. He's sort of the director and the executive producer. He said, yeah, great, I want you to do it.
That's so cool.
And that happened, and it led to a lot of things, and now we're 20 years later, and we've released the movie, and I come to fan events, and people say how much those movies mean to them, and it did for me as well, working on them. But as to see the audience members now grown up and in their late 20s and 30s is really kind of cool.
And I'm one of those. So
great! Yeah.
The Phantom Menace was the first movie, period, not just Star Wars, I ever saw in theaters.
Yeah.
So I was 5 years old at the time.
Right.
That's one of those memories that just clicks.
Yeah, I totally get it. That happened with me with the originals.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question for you here. What does Star Wars mean to you?
That's a great question. Star Wars means to me like putting yourself. Such a good question, but it is putting your best foot forward in circumstances where you have to collaborate with people that maybe you wouldn't normally choose to. You're in a situation with a ragtag group of folks, and you're kind of trying to either put your best foot forward to create something or to get over the adversity of something. But it's collaborative nature, and knowing that there's a bigger picture out there for all of us. Star Wars is something that I feel is bigger than all of us, and we all can work to make it good, to reflect back to us what we want to see in the world. And it's it's good versus evil, and making those choices on a personal level with yourself about the choices you make and the boundaries you have, and have that hopefully in society that is reflected back on all those little people making choices is going to be better for the society, better for the world, better for the universe that you're in. And those internal choices and how they reflect into the bigger picture and the macro picture of everything.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much, man, for being on here. I really appreciate it. It's so cool to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Take
Thanks,
care.
guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Go follow Matt on any of his socials.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Join